Now, may I invite on stage Mr. Ankit Agarwal, founder, Insurance Dekho. Can we please put our hands together, everyone? Welcome, sir. Next, I would like to invite Mr. Naveen Nathani, Head of IT Projects and Transformation Management Office, Aditya Birla Group, Hindalco Industries. Welcome, sir. May I also invite Mr. Srinidhi Shamarao, Chief Strategy Officer, Egon Life. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together. And of course, allow me to invite our moderator for this session. We have Mr. Purav Sheth, Chief Digital Officer, Godrej and Boyce.
And we would like to invite one more panelist, Jayesh Pandey from Accenture.
I think we can do a better job than that for our esteemed panel. Everyone, please put your hands together. Over to you, Mr. Sheth.
All right, thank you. So it's good to be back. See, some of you might know that this is the 5th edition of the Digital Transformation Summit. I was there in the first edition. In fact, at that point, this was about 5 years back. There were only about 8 to 10 chief digital officers in the country, right? And we created this group under the auspices of IMAI. It was called DX50. So our noble mission was to enable 50 organizations in India to digitally transform themselves. It was a noble mission. I think we are still on that journey. We haven't reached there yet. But see, at that point, right, this is 5 years ago, digital was a lot about, improvement, optimization, etc. And that's where technologies were used to, optimize processes, etc. Maybe make some tweaks to the customer experience. It was still a choice at that time. I think now digital is all about survival, right? And that's the case for entire organization. We are not talking about only piecemeal solutions. We are talking about transforming the value chain of an organization, and that's where sales and distribution, I think, is at the heart of it, which is the topic for today. So see, sales and distribution, when we talk about it, I think any company which sells products, manufactures products, you're going to have the sales team, you're going to have the distributors, you're going to have the dealers, you have the whole channel partners, as they're called. We still feel that a lot of this is still not fully transformed. I think there is a lot of challenges there, right? And even now there are companies which are not fully digitalized yet in terms of even order booking. Something as simple as order booking. You're going to still have your back office guys. You're going to still have your sales guys who are going to actually do some bit of manual process. Onboarding of channel partners, right? I mean, that's still a very manual process. How do you provide omni-channel experience not only to your customers but your entire channel ecosystem, right? So I think these are still challenges that I am seeing, we are still seeing, and of course after COVID hit, a lot of those things have changed, right? So I think that's the objective of this panel, and then we have a great diverse set of people who are coming in. You're going to have one person who comes from a digital native company. You're going to have one person who's coming from a legacy business, right? Legacy insurance business, which is trying to pivot. We have one person who comes from a B2B company, right? Hindalco, right? So they're talking about selling metals. And then we have one person who comes from the consulting world. So they have actually worked with a lot of consumer durable companies, a lot of fast-moving consumer good companies to bring in that perspective. So I think it's going to be a great set of discussions we're going to have here, and towards the end we'll leave some question and answers session for some time for that session. But before that, I'll ask the panelists to maybe just do a quick intro on their role and how do they see the customer demand changing, which is actually getting them to rethink on their entire sales and distribution process. So just an intro question for all of you. You want to start off? Maybe Naveen, you want to start off from there?
Okay. Hi, everyone. A very good afternoon. I know that we are just sitting between the lunch and us, and I know it's quite difficult for you all, to kind of wait for that. But I think we'll try to make it more succinct, interesting, and as Purav added, we will add it with a couple of use cases that are there. Hi, I head the projects and the transformation office at Hindalco, part of the Aditya Birla Group. I'm sure everyone would know. Uh, and my role is prima facie from a standpoint of ensuring that we have got standard adoption and governance of processes that are getting transformed. So I was talking before we met here, and I was telling all the great panelists here that there have been pockets of growth that have happened in certain part of our business that is there, but we are trying to see that how we can have a same uniformity across, all the business verticals that we are kind of setting up. So that is what is my role, in terms of ensuring that we have got the highest digital adoption standards. We have got the highest amount of customer centricity that we are adopting when we are implementing any digital initiatives that are there. And third is ensuring that there is a value creation at the end of the day, because at the end of the day, beyond just delivering what is day to day, we also need to think about what additional value that we can get. So those are basically the three agenda pointers that I am driving at Hindalco. And for me, I think I'll cite a very classic example that just happened about a few weeks back when one of my friend wanted to buy a car from a leading manufacturer that is there. So he was wondering how can he approach it. So the first thing, he saw a brochure on the newspaper and saw a WhatsApp number. He sent a quick SMS or a WhatsApp hi, and he got a response in terms of the model and the pricing and the features and everything that is there. Now, once he was done with this, he wanted to kind of go and talk to someone and experience the product. As Indians, I think we are quite particular about seeing a product right up front rather than just being there on the digital side that is there. So he reaches out to a showroom and asks them that, I'm looking for a test drive. And this person asks him for a mobile number. So he shares his mobile number. And this person picks up all the information from that channel saying that, hey, sir, we can see that you had sent a WhatsApp and you inquired about this model and we have everything ready. You can come to us today and do the test drive, and then we can see how we can kind of work out. So I think this is the kind of connected customer experience that we all love to have. If we see broken processes, I think we get dissatisfied. So those are my quick sense on how things are changing.
Right. Ankit?
Hello. Good afternoon, everybody. As my co-panelist just said, we're standing between you and lunch. We'll try to make this discussion as lively as possible. Quick 2 cents about me. I'm Ankit Agarwal, founder and CEO of Insurance Dekho, India's fastest growing insurtech. We are a part of the Ginnar Soft Group. As we say internally, my most famous cousin is Car Dekho. I was hoping when he said, when he was sharing his friend's experience, I was hoping he said that we helped him buy the car. But unfortunately, that did not happen. I think, we've seen digitization in a very different light over the last 2 years. What I keep telling my team is that going forward, the world will be looked at in 2 different angles. One is pre-COVID, second is post-COVID. 2 years of COVID has changed the definition of digitization. Earlier, digitization was only about cost efficiency, cost optimization, or at best about digital marketing. Now, digitization is how do you make sure that a consumer or a partner gets the best experience sitting in the comfort of his or her house. And I think there is no better sector in the country today than insurance, which is exhibiting it. During COVID, the entire insurance sector settled claims worth 25,000 crores for people of this country while everybody was sitting at their homes. I don't think I can give you a better example of digitization in the industry. Rest, I leave it to our panelists to talk about their experiences, and I'm happy to share.
Hi, my name is Jayesh. Obviously, I have to introduce myself for a little bit longer because she forgot me. So, Jayesh Pandey, I lead up in Accenture Strategy, the global strategy consulting practice for customer sales and service, essentially comprising of 3 different centers of excellence run out of India, Manila, and KL. They are marketing transformation, commerce and sales, and ACE as we call them, or after sales service essentially. So I would tend to agree with both Purav as well as Naveen and Ankit that the phase post-pandemic that we have arrived at is I think the most crucial where yes, people are doing good stuff and cool stuff, I should say, on hyper-personalization and marketing. They're doing great stuff in service. I mean, the 25,000 crore example, post-sales, policies sold, now you're claiming, you're getting that. I think those two things are in a very, very good place. People have, organizations have, and my clients as well, I see them every day, they have made a reasonable amount of investment, both in terms of, management priority, rupees or dollars, as well as hardware, software, they've made that investment. I think where the most interesting piece, and that's probably happening as we speak, and I think we're in the midst of it, is when you are getting the person to buy and they are in middle of the funnel or bottom of the funnel, right? I think that's the most important click. So how do you make your channel successful? How do you get your feet on street to start doing stuff that they were not doing earlier? How do you really get your feet on the street to be talking as equals with a dealer or an outlet, which is, clearly 2 steps ahead of them in their individual statuses, right? And that's where the real crux, I think, the route to market, go to market overhaul that we are seeing in India as we speak. And, I have the opportunity to work in Southeast Asia and Middle East as well. In those markets, the overhaul is amazingly mind-blowing. I mean, it's almost like a silent revolution. And, happy to share a couple of examples as we go ahead.
Hi, my name is Srinidhi Shamarao. I am the Chief Strategy Officer at Aegon Life. Basically, we manufacture products that Ankit can sell. So my job in Aegon Life is to, basically make insurance as easy as purchasing this phone on Amazon, right? That's my job, and it's a very, very, very difficult job, right? So as you know, if you apply for an insurance, especially life insurance today, right, it takes like 1 million documents that you need to upload, and about 2 months, if not 3, in order for them to figure it out and then issue or reject the policy for you, right? Now my job is to convert this into an Amazon-like experience where you just give your phone number, PAN number, and then do a few clicks, and then you get an insurance on the spot. Right, so that's the job that we are in, and the need for this has exacerbated now on this side of COVID. Mainly because of what we call as digital transformation in a very loose term, right? So it's not like digital transformation was not happening before COVID, right? But on this side of COVID or during COVID, what happened was that the customers who were sitting at home, not just me, but even my father, for example, right? They started experiencing world in a very, very different way, right? So they started, downloading apps and getting everything at home, right? Now they started using Amazon, they started using Swiggy and Practo and whatnot, right? Now when they are coming to purchase insurance, right? So for them, it's the same thing. So they expect the same experience that they are seeing in Swiggy, when they are purchasing insurance also, right? So they don't realize the fact that it's my problem that I need a lot of documents to underwrite them, right? Now, so the digital transformation was not only happening on the company's side, but also on the customer's mind. And that has what has increased and exacerbated the need for us to, very quickly cater to that need of the customer. And that's what I'm doing at Aegon Life.
Good, interesting perspective. So now I want to ask a little bit, because see, this is a diverse set of businesses. Now, again, for for Aegon and for Insurance Deco, right? Now, insurance obviously is a high touch, transaction, so to speak, because, insurance is always sold, it's never bought. And I think, Ankit, for you, maybe if you can go first, right? I mean, you guys are a digital native company. And I think, for people who are used to Zomato, Swiggy, and ordering from Amazon, I think it's easy purchasing insurance. But how are you doing that for the Bharat, right? So the tier 2, tier 3 cities, remote towns, etc. Because I think that's basically where your larger market sits. So maybe you can start off with that, Ankit.
So, as I just said in my introduction, the world will always now be, it's like AD and BC, right? So, PC is that's pre-COVID and AC is after COVID, right? So, after COVID, the world has changed. I think as insurance intermediaries, we had three problems for real Bharat. One was financial instrument. That I think has been solved by all the measures that Indian government has taken to push for online payment, right? So digitization in true sense for insurance intermediaries has been the adoption of online payment. To give you some statistics, 98% of policies issued over the last 1 year have been issued through online payments. This I'm talking about personal insurance. I'm not talking about commercial insurance. Personal insurance, 98% of the policies are issued through digital payment instruments. This just takes away the headache of financial reconciliations, both from an intermediary perspective as well as a parent company perspective. Second is the adoption of insurance post pandemic, right? Or post COVID, as I say. Insurance is no longer a push product. It has become a pull product. All of a sudden, people realize the importance of buying a health insurance. And people also realize they cannot be dependent on their company's insurance or corporate insurance. So people have now got accustomed to putting a certain amount of their household budget for buying insurance. And companies have solved for it by affordability. Here again, digitization has been important because payments are being deducted electronically. Third, I think, is the servicing aspect. Please understand that any financial product is a servicing product. If you've solved for servicing digitally, when people can raise claims sitting in the comfort of their home, when people can get their renewals done sitting in the comfort of their home, or people can even make changes to their policy sitting in the comfort of your home, that is when true digitization has happened in insurance sector. And that I can proudly say the industry as a whole has taken steps in that direction, and that has what has helped build trust in real Bharat. And that is why more and more people in real Bharat are now moving towards digital tools for buying and selling insurance also.
So you would not talk about enabling some feet on the street for the tier 2, tier 3? Is that are you looking at an omni-channel model where you guys have say, agents enabled with technology to onboard customers?
See, that's why if you, in the last part of my statement, I said buying and selling insurance. So we as a company work in a hybrid model where we have some people who are on our payroll, but these people act more as trainers or people who help source more partners who can go out and source business for us. From a partner perspective, we've seen more and more partners becoming accustomed to selling policies online because for them, their life has become easy. As my friend just said, designing a product in insurance is very difficult, but trust me, my friend, even that difficult product even the simplest product which you design becomes more difficult by the time it goes to the ground, right? We as insurance intermediaries make that product simple for people. And those intermediaries have now started leveraging on our tools because we've not only solved for sourcing, we've solved for servicing, we've solved for cross-selling, and we've also solved for the most important aspect for an insurance intermediary and the customer, that is claims.
All right. So, Srinidhi, what about, so you are from a legacy business, so to speak, and trying to pivot. So how are you looking at, leveraging the channel partner ecosystem and, transforming that?
So there are a few aspects here, right? So again, as Ankit was talking about, it's the convenience aspect that the expectations of the customer have gone like, very, very high as compared to 2-3 years before, right? Now, how we are trying to look at it is, right? So instead of, when was the last time, you guys visited a bank, unless you took a home loan or something like that, right? So all of us used to go to the bank 5 years ago, right? But today hardly anybody goes. Everything gets done online, right? So similar thing, obviously, it is n-fold true for insurance, right? So the question is, how we are trying to transform is, okay, instead of expecting the customer to come to us, right, or sending an agent and making, having them drag the customer to our agency and so on and so forth, right? Can we be at those places where the customer actually goes, frequents and trusts? For example, you go to your Amazon, right, to purchase your so many things, so you trust them with your credit card number, so can we be there? Right, or you trust an insurance code to give, like comparative assessment of so many different things, so you trust them with their content, so can we be there? Right, or you trust a Paytm with your money and your wallet, so can we be there, etc., etc. So can we be in those places digitally where the customer actually frequently goes and has a trust and credibility established, so that we have solved half the problem when it comes to having access to the customer and customer having access to our products, right? That's point number one. And point number two is, once the customer has accessed, how can we make it super easy for him or her in order to actually decide on the product and purchase our product? So that's the second aspect where, again, on the one side, you have the JAM ecosystem, Jandan, Aadhaar, and mobile, where you have account aggregator, you have health aggregator, and so on and so forth. So that just with a phone number and PAN number and a consent from the customer, you can actually get everything from the customer, and you don't need to ask him any more details, and ask him to upload any documents, right? So that you get everything from, and then you can do your underwriting from there. That's one aspect that takes care of all of us sitting here. But there is a much larger India sitting in the tier 3, tier 4, or even tier 2 for that matter, right? For them, we call them as thin file customers. They don't use, they are not digitally as available in all these networks as you and I. So can we use some proxy information, proxy data about them in order to understand who they are, what is their health, financial profile, and health profile, so that we can underwrite for them, right? That's the second aspect of things. Third is, okay, once he becomes our customer, how do we service him or her? So can we be in those places again where the customer is, rather than asking customer to come to us? So can we be on WhatsApp and be instantly available, right? Or can we be on the chatbot that is already there on the customer's mobile phone and so on and so forth, right? So basically making it super accessible and super easy to decide and super easy to get it serviced.
All right, so now from insurance, so Naveen, now, so, from a B2B perspective, right? Now, I was just reading a report which said that 50% of B2B customers are very comfortable to, buy services online or as a self-service. They don't want to see salespeople. Now, I don't know what is the situation with Hindalco in terms of metal, right? I mean, that requires a slightly different setup. But, maybe talk a little bit about how Hindalco is leveraging its channel partners or sales guys to actually give a better experience service to the customer.
Sure. So I think I will provide a very diverse perspective, because I come in from the manufacturing side, the metals and the mining business that is there. Over the last couple of years, how we have changed is, and this has been something which has been the core DNA of the organization, is how do we imbibe customer centricity across businesses that we are building in. And over the last couple of years, I would say about a decade, we have started investing heavily into the downstream businesses that are there. So just for simplicity's sake, your upstream business is where we mine we mine bauxite that gets converted into alumina. Alumina gets processed to aluminium, and that's where you get your upstream product. And then you have your downstream product, which is basically the fresh wrapped foils. I'm sure most of you all will be users of that. Or there are some other products and businesses that we have. So I'll kind of talk a little bit about that. For us, I think there are 4 key pillars of the go-to-market strategy that we are kind of building in as we are implementing these downstream businesses. One is the target, so whom are we targeting? Who are our customers? So that becomes a very critical factor. Like, for example, I can give you an example of a paper manufacturer. Now, the paper manufacturer has got 2 sets of customers that are there. One who needs continuous paper to fulfill their daily supply needs that are there. For them, service and one-stop shop is important. And there is a second customer who is someone who will inventorize the product and they will sell it further. For them, cost is important. So if you understood it simply, you have got customers that belong to different segments that are there. The second is the value proposition. It's all about building value, enabling value for the customer. Why would the customer go and visit and buy your product versus a competitor product that is there? The third part is pricing. Definitely plays a very important role, especially in a price-sensitive market like India, where every cent, every money, every paisa counts. So people kind of take a very conscious decision upon for buying a product. And the fourth is the distribution that is there. How penetrated is the product or the services that you're selling? So this is a four-pronged strategy that we kind of build whenever we are thinking about launching a business that is there. I'll just take a quick use case here, maybe that can help correlate these
Sure.
dots. There is a new business that we have just recently, pre-COVID times, PC, is what we launched, is called as Eternia. Now, Eternia is basically, the business that helps in manufacturing window frames, architectural window frames that are there, that most of us have in our houses that is there. So that's a business that we started about a couple of years back, and that is gaining significant momentum that is there. Now, one of the biggest challenges for us in that business was measuring the performance of a window. Okay. Now, that becomes a very crucial thing. Unlike others where you can measure the performance, measuring the window performance is something which is quite critical that is there. So that was one. Then the second was, typically Windows is something which is a low engagement product. It's a window, yaar. Matlab, usme kya hai? There's nothing that is there. So there's a very low engagement, that is there. And then the third thing was that as customers are adopting this digital journey that is there, they want everything available digitally, So these were a few pain areas or challenges, that the business had. And therefore, the way we kind of approached this was thinking about how can we be digital first. So from that standpoint, we launched something which is a very interesting, e-commerce model. What we call it is B2B2C, where we have large fabricators. So we are associated with 1,000+ fabricators across India, and these fabricators are prima facie the intermediary whenever there is a customer connect happens. So these 1,000+ fabricators would use a digital platform, which could be a app or an iPad or something like that, and they would measure, the size of the window, what is needed, dimensions, etc., and it would give them a score to say that what is the score for the window that is there, what we call it as Viva, that is there in the technology parlance that is there. So this would enable the customer to kind of understand that on what scale is he buying that product that is there. So just a quick one here, that this is how we are kind of imbibing that. Now imagine, the fact that these fabricators who were early not digital savvy had to understand this technology and imbibe it. And then we have the second generation of these same fabricators who are coming in. And today, when we have meetings, these people come with the latest iPads, iPhones, and all the various technologies sitting on the table and telling us how can we improvise our service that is there. So that's been a game-changing revolution in a very different industry that is there.
Good. Window performance as a service. That's an interesting revenue model. So now let's move it up a notch a little bit. I know this is a technology or transformation conference, right? So Jayesh, now, with Accenture, you have been working with some consumer durable companies.
Yeah.
Because I think that's one industry we haven't covered so far. So can you shed some light on how they are leveraging technology to transform their entire engagement with channel partners, right? So when you talk about distributors, dealers, etc.
Oh, sure. And, I must give credit to those organizations. A couple of my clients, in the consumer durable space, they have all the three types of businesses. They have a B2C business where they engage directly with the consumer. They have a B2B2C, and that's a traditional business. 60-70% of that business, their overall revenue comes through the channel. And then there is this entire, 15-20% of their business, which is B2B, where they service, organizations per se. I think what they have managed to do is, for the channel, they have ensured that their channel is now more equipped to building, for example, loyalty in one particular case, where the channels, essentially, the location of that outlet is in such a place that it's expected that across the around the next 3 or 4 kilometers is where they're going to source their customers. It's not going to be, someone coming from very far. They have tried to ensure that they have programs through which they can actually engage loyalty and, these societies in metro cities, large societies, so that they get engaged with the channel partner itself. And the channel partner represents the brand, which I think was very, very cool, because the channel partner really doesn't have to get out of it. Every society has an app, works on MyGate or works on Adda or works on WhatsApp at the best, right, at the bare minimum. And they've got them engaged in that zone. A huge replacement demand, right, is coming through that particular channel partner. Extremely interesting kind of an experiment done in 4 metros. Very, very amazingly, very successful in terms of making the channel partners almost 65 outlets, right, far more profitable without really improving or increasing any signage or any channel, because the entire shop is taken to the consumer's home. The second thing that I've seen them do, and at least 6 of my clients are doing this, is the feet on the street that addresses the channel, right? So the person who goes to take the order, the person who's really going to ensure that the inventory count is done, or the person who's really looking at where should I place a new outlet, and does this area where I don't have an outlet, does it deserve an outlet from my side? How do I choose? How do I get the dealer appointed in a short period of time? They've made that entire process completely digitally enabled. I mean, we have seen cut down times of a new dealer appointment come down from 27 days to 24 hours, working time, right? Working day. But to my mind, I mean, to the point of, in insurance, you have to give so many documents. For a dealer appointment process, in most, consumer durable companies, the process is very, very humongous. But cutting it down to 24 hours really creates that kind of, and everything is digital, right? So the entire identification, the records of the organization, the financial records, everything is digital. So to that extent, there is absolutely no reason why you can't really do it in 24 hours. And now, doing it on the ground, then you start getting a conversation where, your competitor appoints a dealer, and, literally in 3 days' time, you also have an outlet there. I think that was simply awesome. The third thing that I would like to say around the B2B portion is, speaking to Naveen's point around how do you make your key account managers, who now have multiple restrictions of whether they are allowed to meet, the entire B2B sales is based on that, we have that relationship, we walk the halls, we actually present, and there is this entire bonhomie that develops between the key account manager and the client, purchasers. All that is gone. It's now a Microsoft Teams call or a Google call. How do you really get them, empowered? And the work that has been done on pricing engines around this, where key account manager now gets a whole host of advice in terms of how do I price it so that you can convert it and you make those offers online while you are really in the, in a Microsoft Teams call. I think that was simply awesome. I mean, as a key account manager myself, I can make out a difference between what I would have done had I gone in person versus now that I have access to this entire piece of, SFDC-based output. How do I really use that and start getting more and more share? Because in most cases, that particular client's case, it was an annual contract, and the expectation was contract will be done with 4 vendors, and depending on your pricing, depending on your service, you can pick up the order and get more share. So they empowered the key account managers beautifully to take share specifically on the accounts that they wanted to win in. So I think it was a very, very focused, targeted, almost as specific as, this particular person needs this kind of an insurance, as individually targeted as that.
Great, thanks. So I think that's very interesting. So even with Godrej, like our appliances and the interior furniture business, I think, and just like other consumer durables, I think the holy grail is all about how do you get information from your channel partners, right, in real time, because then you can actually push products better, you can price it better, you can, cross-subsidize things, you can, package the whole thing together. And I think that's basically how, data and analytics, come into play, right? I mean, suggesting a recommended next best action to your sales guy, saying this is what you need to pitch to this particular retailer or this particular dealer. So I think that's great to hear that, Jayesh. So, we have very less time, I can see that. So I think one maybe quick set of responses from people. Now we have two sets of people. Maybe again Ankit and Srinidhi. You coming from the business, sales, business leadership side. So for this entire transformation, right? Sales and distribution transformation. I think there has to be a great partnership with the technology team, with the CIOs, the CDOs, whatever you might have. So how, with this new normal that we have, what are your expectations from your technology teams?
So first, sorry for this, but we are a technology company. There is nobody in the company who's not technology, right, or not a part of the technology team. But answering your question, I think there are three aspects to this. One, I personally believed that data tells the truth, everything else is a lie. The last 2 to 3 years, we worked extensively on data sets, right? Now, every single decision in the company is data backed. If we have to open a market, why do we need to open the market? If we need to go after a particular catchment of customers or a particular catchment area, why do we need to go after that? Or if we need to start selling a product, why do we need to sell that product, right? So data, I think, is the most important thing, and the entire organization, Ish, who's my founder and CTO, along with our data sciences team, is completely focused on making sure that data is available. Second is making the life of the guy out there at the last mile very easy, right? So that he does not have to think. So what we've done, we've integrated with various Salesforce automation tools, some of which have been created in-house. So the moment the guy wakes up in the morning, logs into his system, he knows that these are the number of visits he has to do, this is the number of calls he has to make, this is the number of to-do items on him, right? So this again comes from the first fact, which is data. Lastly, servicing. I've kept on talking about servicing every time that you've given me the mic, because we are in the services industry. How do we make the life of our agent partner, of our consumer and principal companies who make those products which we go out and sell easier, right? By leveraging on technology for servicing.
Yeah, so basically, primarily it's all about experience and leveraging data, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, Srinidhi?
Sure. Just a quick caveat. When I say technology, I include both engineering as well as analytics, teams, right? So think of a 2x2 matrix, if you will, right? On the one side of 2x2 matrix is, whether your product is a push or a pull, right? On the other side of 2x2 matrix is how easy it is to purchase, right? For example, if it is an iPhone, right? It's a pull product and it's easy to purchase, right? On the exact opposite end is, for example, insurance, right? And then there are other things in between. So it could be any product. It falls into one of these quadrants, right? So the role of technology team is to help the product, move from push to pull and difficult to purchase to very easy to purchase, right? That's where I see the role of the technology team, right? So from push to pull, for example, it's basically a play between product design and marketing, right? So you need a lot of data, insights, analytics around, to figure out what is the right product and also how to market it in a very, very targeted way. And from moving, from very difficult to purchase to very, very easy to purchase, there is where all your, technology innovation, channel partnerships, etc., comes into the picture, right? For example, we are moving to a paradigm where it is omni-channel within digital. You start your journey in website, this morning and continue the journey and finish it in WhatsApp in the evening, right? So on and so forth. The omni-channel within digital also, right? So it's all completely technology play, and that's where I think the technology is going to play a key role in both these shifts, if you will.
So yeah, we have very demanding guys from the business and sales, leadership team. Now, maybe Naveen, let's start off with you, right? So, do the sales leadership teams actually understand how technology can help them, or are they just looking at the end goal, right? And how do you actually bridge that gap?
You know what, Purav, what I have seen over a period of my experiences working across organization is that sales teams or business teams try to be more technology oriented. They come to you with a problem, and they don't come to you with a problem. They come to you with a solution rather than a problem. Because I think in the age today, we are seeing so much of digitization happening that everyone picks it up. I remember
Time up.
Yeah, so as I was saying that I had seen that, the business teams directly come to you with a solution that is there. So I think my piece of recommendation is only that, one, come to us envisioning a larger problem that you have and think from a customer standpoint. I think that's very important thing, which the business leaders have to imbibe, that they need to come to us with a problem because we are the experts, right? And we can then kind of find it out in terms of how it has to be done better. And the second thing, as I spoke about, is envisioning the larger problem, considering the changes in the ecosystem that is happening. Typically, the business leaders, kind of think from it from a medium-term perspective. They don't think from a long-term horizon, like a 5-year or a 10-year in terms of how things are going to change. So I think those will be a couple of cents from my side.
Yeah, we heard some pain there, Naveen. So Jayesh, now since you work with both, the business leadership and the tech leadership teams, why don't you throw in your views?
Sure. So what I've seen as one of the most successful ways of doing this between the sales team to technology and technology team to sales, if I can really differentiate between the two, is, the tech team, I think I've seen telling business leaders that stop saying you don't understand technology and that I am the expert. That's one statement that the tech team tells them. Tell us a business problem and sit with me, understand technology and solve it. I think I've seen tech teams say that unequivocally, right? On the other side, I've seen one amazingly tech savvy client of mine, and as an individual, I can't name him, but amazingly technology savvy, very comfortable with tech stacks, very comfortable with best of breed versus single integrated tech stacks, etc. And he was doing annual planning, and we were having a chat more as a friend, and I asked him, okay, so what's going to be your core sales strategy? And he kind of ranted for about 3.5 minutes of how his competitor is killing him, how his boss is not giving him enough discount money. He said that I have only one thing to do. This year, my strategy is going to be technology. So I am just going to go out and do everything on technology only, because that's the only way I'm going to counter all these problems. It's a perfect storm. So I think both ways is an issue that tech believes, and I think rightly so, that the business should stop saying that we are business, realize it's post-pandemic, it's a PC world or whatever, AC world, and technology is as much sales as, figuring out which niche, what ad, what should the model be looking like, etc., etc. As well as I think the tech, guys should realize that there is a way in which compressed digital transformation, if I can use an acronym, and I'm a consultant, so I'm allowed to use some cliched words. It's here to stay. There is no such thing, many a times people talk of change management. And I think it's come to a place that if you are not embracing digital transformation, you will change the management only. It'll come to that place, right? So both need to kind of come to a place that way.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's all about co-creation, right? I don't think it's business versus tech. I think it's business plus tech. I think that's the only way organizations are going to survive. But great, I think it's been a very interesting conversation. I think we have run out of time. Do we have time for audience questions? No, I think they look hungry. The audience looks hungry. So I think thank you to my panelists here. It was a great conversation. And I think some of us are going to be here for a bit. If anybody has any questions, they can reach out to them during lunch. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much to our esteemed speakers for such an engaging session. I would like to extend my gratitude to all of you, and a personal thank you to Mr. Pandey for not allowing me to forget about you. Thank you so much. And with that, thank you, gentlemen. Can we please have a group photo? Ladies and gentlemen, can we please put our hands together for our esteemed panel up here?